Okay, so a little disclaimer before this video starts. This video was originally meant to go up in March or April. However, between working a job, working on the podcom, between Fractured Light Toganium and I, moving to Tennessee, and starting up a new job, this commentary took longer than expected to edit and put together. During that time, a couple of things changed. For one, there was a bit of fallout with one of the people who cameoed in my video, Hypochromia, and two, the person who did my stills who also cameoed in my video, Emmanuel Gaffey, or as you better know him, Gaffey, recently changed his name to Manny, so if you hear me call him by Gaffey in this video, just know that his name is now Manny. Anyways, with that disclaimer out of the way, I hope you guys enjoy.
Yo, Beastie!
Ah! What the fuck? You know I hate FNAF jump scares like that.
Sorry about that. Anyway, you got packaged. Supposedly it's new commentary material for your channel, but not sure how good it'd be though.
Really now? Well, let me have a look. 50 Pokemon that have the wrong type, huh? And you're sure this package is for me?
I mean, would I really be giving it to you if it didn't pique your interest? Anyway, in the video there's something mentioned about Arceus needing to be a question mark type because, you know, Dobbs doesn't think it should be a normal type, along with the mention of Furret towards the end.
Did somebody say Furret? Ooh, let me have it. Gimme.
Jeez, Donnie, just chill out. You'll get your package when April Fool's Day comes.
Plus, this is my package, so...
Aw, please.
Do I need to mention the obligatory ground type Furret?
Fuck you. Furret is not a ground type. I'll have the entire world know that Furret is a precious normal type baby boy. And if anybody dares to doubt me on that, they can drown
You,
in top of Bell
might want to get out of here. It'll take a bit to calm Donnie down now.
Good idea. See you later, Gaffy.
Later, Beastie.
The heads of my hands, paws, with the side of goddamn.
Right or wrong, as long as your spirit's strong. It's not always win or lose, it's the road you choose. The answer's within.
Okay. I've got the material. Donnie's distracted with his ramble to interrupt me. I think I should be in the clear to do this now. Anyway, what's up, everybody? This is 64 Beastie Man back with another commentary. And what a package I seem to have gotten this time. For context, recently a PokeTuber who goes by the name of Dobbs decided to make a video about 50 Pokemon and have their types completely wrong. And from what I've seen of his video, there doesn't appear to be any criteria for this list other than suggesting the better type for the Pokemon to have. Now, for the most part, his video is alright. However, there are some entries on this list that I take issue with. So, with that out of the way, let's get started.
Girafarig should be a normal dark type because just look at his beta design. Look how evil his twin looks. And as we all know, dark type in Japanese is known as the evil type, and that looks pretty evil to me.
Okay, so right off the bat, notice how Dobbs brings up Girafarig's beta design as a way to say that the Pokemon should be normal dark instead of normal psychic. Sure, I can buy that that was the idea they had for this Pokemon before Gold and Silver came out, but then again, it is a beta design. Things tend to change between the beta of a game and the actual release, and maybe Game Freak thought that making Girafarig a normal psychic type would be better than making it a normal dark type, especially when it nullifies Psychic's weakness to Ghost with the normal typing, and fighting type moves do neutral damage to it as opposed to having a 4 times weakness if it were normal dark. There's also the fact that this pairing gives this Pokemon only 2 weaknesses, Bug and Dark, as opposed to the 3 weaknesses for normal dark with it being weak to fighting, Bug, and Fairy. And if you want to go a step further, we can take a look at its move pool. Looking at the moves it can learn nowadays, it can learn a lot more Psychic moves than it can Dark moves, with 7 Psychic type moves via level up as opposed to only 3 Dark type moves. Even when we take into account all the TM moves and breeding moves it can learn, the Psychic type move pool still has the edge, bringing the total number up to 17 while the total number of Dark type moves is only 6, double of what it can learn via just level up, but still not enough to solidly argue that it should be part dark type.
It's there for nothing!
Chansey should be a normal fairy type because it can learn the move Teleport, which kind of makes sense because it goes back to the Pokemon Center to heal up Pokemon with Nurse Joy. And that seems pretty fairy-like to teleport and do that stuff.
Alright, but there's a big problem. From what I could find out about its move pools on Bulbapedia, Chansey could only learn the move Teleport in the first generation, and even then it couldn't even learn it via level up. It could only learn the move via TM. Added on to that, the move Teleport is a psychic move, not a fairy one. Going by that logic, I could make the argument that the whole Aber line needs to be changed from psychic type to fairy type since the first move Aber learns is Teleport, even when evolving it all the way up to Alakazam.
But BC, we don't need psychic types in this society.
Well, how about you go tell society to eat a dick? Because as long as the Joker is alive and well, psychic type lives shall continue to matter.
Which Joker? The DC villain, the Persona protagonist, the Persona villain, the other Persona villain, the other DC villain? There's a lot of DC villains. You're being kind of vague here, you know?
Yes.
But that didn't even answer my question.
Get out of my house!
Luxray should be an electric dark type because everyone and their mother thought Luxray was a dark type. Just look at it. And it's got the abilities Intimidate and Rivalry, and it learns a ton of dark type moves naturally and by TM.
While I don't necessarily have a problem with this entry in particular, keep Dobbs bringing up the moves Pokemon can learn in mind. It'll bite him hard in a later entry.
Sudowoodo should be a grass type because just look at it as well. It's literally a tree. I don't even know why it's a rock type. That's so weird.
Well, I guess if its body has the appearance of a tree, then this is a good point. However, there's something very crucial you're overlooking with this particular Pokemon. The name of it. Sudowoodo. If we break its name down, the pseudo part is a play on pseudo, which means not genuine. So its name can be translated to not real wood, or in this case, not a tree. This can especially be seen in multiple Pokédex entries where it is stated to pretend to be a tree in order to fool others. Some entries even go further in stating that this thing hates water, and what's one thing trees need in order to grow and survive? Water. So it being a rock type in this instance makes sense, given how it's even classified as the imitation Pokemon.
Emboar should have been a pure fire type, or even a fire ground type, because I guess pigs like to play in the mud. I think Game Freak just made Emboar a fire fighting type because that was the popular thing. Everyone loved that typing, until they got sick of it because of this one.
I mean, sure, let's just overlook how Emboar is meant to be based on a sumo wrestler, hence why it's part fighting type. There's also the fact that changing its typing wouldn't fit well with its evolutionary line, specifically Pignite, who's also firefighting. If you want to say that Emboar should have its typing changed, then why not make the same argument for Pignite as well? Especially since, when looking at its move pool, neither Pignite nor Emboar really have that many fighting type moves to utilize, especially when taking into account TM's breeding and tutoring moves.
Which leads me to the next one. The only reason why Samurott wasn't a fighting type is because Emboar was a fighting type.
Shut up, that is a blatant assumption and you know it. We don't know for sure why Game Freak decided to make Emboar part fighting type over Samurott. Perhaps they just overlooked it while programming for Pokemon Black and White. Maybe they didn't think too much about the comparisons between the Oshawott line and Japanese Samurai when designing Samurott. It could be a number of things really. So to sit there and say that Samurott got ripped off because of Emboar without solid proof behind it feels like you're reaching for straws here.
Shark, Pog.
Typhlosion should be a pure normal type because Game Freak took away its flames. Just look at it. It's hideous. Oh wait, that's Bidoof. Okay, here we go. It's hideous.
Sure, let's just go ahead and sacrifice all of Typhlosion's fire type moves they can learn, sacrifice the status quo of having all the stars in their evolutions be water, grass, and fire, and even sacrifice numerous Pokédex entries that make note of Typhlosion's flames. And all of this because Typhlosion doesn't have its fire with sprites for it starting in Pokemon X and Y all the way up to the current generation. And mind you, we have seen Cyndaquil and Quilava without their flames in the Pokemon Johto anime and Pokemon Diamond and Pearl anime respectively, so why is specifically Typhlosion the Pokemon that needs its type changed? Once again, you're asking for a change that wouldn't gel well with the evolutionary line. And this time, it's a change that wouldn't even work for Game Freak because if the Cyndaquil line isn't fire type, what Pokemon would you recommend to Game Freak that will replace it as the Johto starter line?
Let's do hide and seek! come find me!
Pumpkaboo should have been a grass fire type because it's literally a jack-o'-lantern. It would have been the perfect Pokemon to give a grass fire typing to. How could you make a jack-o'-lantern Pokemon that's not on fire? Game Freak, you blew it. Plus, we already had a grass ghost type in the same generation, so it's not like that typing would have been missed out on if it was a grass fire type.
Perhaps, but I believe Pumpkaboo was given the grass ghost typing because pumpkins are a symbol of Halloween, a holiday involving the celebration of ghosts, monsters, and getting candy, hence why I can even learn the move Trick or Treat. And speaking of Halloween, there's another good reason why Game Freak decided to go with a grass ghost typing for Pumpkaboo instead of grass fire. One that dwells in Irish mythology.
Hey, did someone say Irish mythology?
Shush! Was not talking to you. Anyways, in Irish mythology, there's a story about a man called Stainy Jack. Stainy Jack got into trouble with the devil because he didn't want to pay for a drink the two were sharing together. So, the two cut a deal where the devil would transform into a coin that Jack could use to pay for the drinks. However, Jack ended up pocketing the coin for himself, tricking the devil in the process. Once freed, the two cut another deal where the devil would not bother Jack for a year, and in the event that Jack were to die, would not claim his soul. One thing leads to another, and eventually Jack passes away. The devil, having to keep to his word, allows Jack to wander off into the world afterwards while giving him a piece of coal to light the way. Jack puts the coal into a turnip and wanders off alone as a spirit. This legend inspired the earliest practice of carving scary faces into turnips, potatoes, and eventually pumpkins in order to ward off Stainy Jack and other evil spirits. So, safe to say, Game Freak likely took inspiration from this mythological story when designing Pumpkaboo, hence the grass ghost typing.
Arceus should have been the question mark typing, because how can Arceus be the same type as a Bidoof?
Simple. By looking at its ability multi-type, we can see that the plates surrounding it are what determine Arceus' typing. For instance, if a person were to equip an Arceus with a fist plate, its typing in that instance would be fighting type. Otherwise, if a person decides not to equip Arceus with a plate, it would just be a plain Pokemon, or in other words, a normal type Pokemon. So being a normal type Pokemon in this case makes sense for Arceus.
Incineroar should have actually been a firefighting type Pokemon. I know, we've had enough firefighting type starter Pokemon, but Incineroar is literally a wrestler. I feel like Game Freak made Incineroar a dark type on purpose, so us fans wouldn't complain about the abundance of firefighting starters. Oh, and also it's in Smash Bros, a fighting game, so yeah.
Sure, but if I may, Incineroar is based on a certain type of wrestler. If you've ever watched the WWE or know about the WWE, then you'll know that there are two types of wrestlers in that organization. There's faces, which are people who are basically seen as heroes or popular in the public eye. And then there's heels, people who usually do something to piss others off or do stunts that the general audience would usually view as immoral. And looking at its design, we can see that Incineroar has taken inspiration from your usual heel wrestler in the WWE, hence why it's part dark type.
This one I'm very disappointed about. Flygon would have been the perfect bug dragon type Pokemon, because for one, it literally evolved from an ant and a dragonfly, and for two, it's in the bug and dragon egg group, so I'm just shocked it wasn't a bug dragon type. Oh, and it also learns bug buzz naturally, and that seems pretty bug-like to me.
Yeah, boy! Remember when I told you guys to keep in mind Dobbs bringing up moves Pokemon learn for later? Well, insert A363 MTR joke that got really popular in the SEC because it's this entry where it really hurts him. From the list of moves he shows, we can see that Flygon can learn more Dragon-type and Ground-type moves, 3 Dragon-type moves and 4 Ground-type moves respectively, as compared to his only one example of a Bug-type move. And that's not even covering the rest of the moves in Flygon's moveset, where it learns 3 additional Dragon-type moves and 4 additional Ground-type moves for a total of 6 and 8 respectively via level up. Even when taking TM's breeding moves and tutor moves into account, the Bug-type moveslist gets walloped due to it being a mere 5 moves it can learn in Sword and Shield and 4 can learn in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, while meanwhile, both Dragon-type and Ground-type are sitting pretty with 10 and 10 for SWSH, and a 9 for BDSP. That's twice the number of moves in both instances and in both series of games that Flygon can learn. And while we're here, there's more evidence to suggest that Flygon's ground typing works because if we take a look at its Pokedex entries, all to make note about this Pokemon often being nicknamed the Spirit of the Desert or it living in deserts in general. So to the notion that Flygon should be Bug Dragon, I say checkmate, you sussy baka!
Jesus Christ, you didn't have to be so savage there.
Hey, you give me an open shot, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, but with Flygon though.
If you want, I can go even further. When considering the anatomy for Flygon, we can see that its wings resemble...
And finally, Ferret should have been the God type, because just look at him. I freaking love ferrets. Who's with me?
No thanks. We already have one Ferret God trying to take over everything. We don't need another.
Did somebody say Ferret God?
God damn it.
All ferrets in the world, we must unite! Unite to conquer all the Pokemon world! The time is near, my brethren! We shall
Yeah, that's nice. Now get out. I have final thoughts to get to.
But I didn't even get to the good part yet!
I said, get out!
Yeah, you tell him. We don't need an uprising to destroy the balance
That
of-
goes for you too, Hypo.
Hey, wait a minute!
Hopefully that's the last time I'll see them in this video. Anyways, final thoughts. Now, as someone who doesn't regularly watch your content, Dobbs, whenever I see a video from you, it's usually clear that you know a thing or two about Pokemon. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten as big as you are now. And here, over half of this video was a prime example as to why this was the case. However, with the entries that I tackled in this video, it seemed like your arguments were built on faulty logic with numerous small issues leading up to one thing: personal subjective bias. Now don't get me wrong, you're allowed to have your biases on which types you feel certain Pokemon should be. However, if you're going to do it, at the very least make sure you build your arguments for these things on the information that you know is certain about these Pokemon. For instance, I feel like Phanpy shouldn't be ground type but instead normal type. Why do I feel this way? Well, when looking at the move list for this Pokemon, it can only learn Earthquake, Bulldoze, Fissure, High Horsepower, and Mudslap through a combination of level up, TMs, and breeding moves. Even when taking Generation 7 into account, with it learning Earth Power through tutoring, it's only 6 moves that Phanpy can learn. Meanwhile, most of its move list is filled up with normal type moves, especially when looking at its level up move pool and the moves it can learn via TMs. To add insult to injury, almost none of the Pokedex entries mention anything about Phanpy living in the ground. The only Pokedex entry that even comes remotely close to it is its Ruby entry, where it digs a vertical pin to the ground at the edge of a riverbank in order to claim the area around it. But outside of that entry, all the other ones just talk about it being like any average elephant that you can find out in the African savannas. You see how I'm able to build a case for Phanpy being normal type by going off its moves and dex entries? I feel like if you were to do that more in this video, then you'd have more people on your side. Outside of that, I don't really know what other advice I can give, so keep up the good work and please take what I have to say into consideration. Anyways, that's all for today, so until next time, this is 64 Beastie Man, beasting out.